Success comes only to those who seek it and are willing to work hard to achieve it. This statement is not new or profound, but it's true. And it applies particularly to the daily newspaper business, where talent, skill, intelligence, perception, split-second timing, and teamwork are required to produce our final product.
Frank E. Gannett knew only too well that hundreds of different skills and talents are required to bring the newspaper daily to the door. It is truly a miracle of speed, precision, accuracy, and teamwork. And that production miracle is performed daily by the combined talents of editors, reporters, photographers, salesmen, printers, business managers, and yes, even the boy around the corner who delivers your paper each day. Like any newspaper, the Ithaca Journal has many responsibilities to the community it serves. There must be rapid reporting of news, as well as interpretation, comment, and appraisal from skilled, experienced journalists. At the top of these stairs, we will find such people. The editorial department of a paper is the area where accounts of daily news happenings are written, and in many cases, a paper's reputation is based on the ability of its editor. The city room is one of the most hectic areas of the entire paper, with seemingly never enough time before the deadline. Right in the center of all this activity, we find the city editor. And not far away, a reporter puts final touches on a front-page story. It's 10:30 as the women's editor prepares to send her article to the composing room, and the sports editor compiles today's standings. Across the room, world news pours in via the facilities of a national wire service, and today's front-page pictures are received through the use of this photofax machine. When the cameras record a significant event in Ithaca, newspapers all over the world can receive them from this wire photo transmitter. To a newspaper man, there is nothing as dead as yesterday's story. And what happened last week is no longer news, it's history, but is still kept in these files known as the morgue for future reference. Down the hall is a department that has the respect of reporter and editor alike. When a picture is needed, these men go to work. This machine can turn out an engraved picture in 5 minutes by light impulses. This picture came from the wire service, but when one is taken locally, this is where it is processed. It's 10:45 now, and pictures have been developed and are awaiting to be engraved for this afternoon's edition. Our next stop is the advertising department. Here lies the responsibility of selling the daily newspaper, and the men of this department are out visiting merchants, doing that job right now. And there's always a few fellows who have to stay behind to draw up today's mat or write next week's copy. It's 12 o'clock now, but there's no lunch hour for these men. Their work is just beginning. This is the composing room where the actual physical paper as we know it is put together. These men are ever conscious of the deadline. This man is making up today's front page, and 3 hours from the time he sets his first letter, the paper will be on the street. Now, where's that letter Q? As this man types, impulses from the keys form castings, which will later be used in printing the stories. It's not exactly speed typing, but here accuracy is the important thing. This is an automatic machine that prints directly off the National Wire Service. The editing is done automatically in another section of the building. And as the ticker tape in the right-hand corner passes through the machine, it converts electrical impulses to finished type. Sitting down on the job? No, these are the proofreaders who have one of the hardest and most important jobs in any paper. After the proofreaders give the okay, the original metal plate is pressed on a special molding material under great pressure. These machines are in operation day after day, and a breakdown here could be disastrous. Then out comes a finished mold. The portable weights are removed, and it is immediately rubbed with a cleaning solvent. A few finishing touches are added as blank spaces are filled in with raised tape. The mold next goes to the scorcher to remove the moisture and form it into a cylinder. And out it comes, ready for the next step, the making of a plate. The mold is cast into a circular plate composed of a mixture of zinc and lead. These plates weigh about 25 pounds and emerge from the presser in rough form. Next, on this lathe, they are ground down to precise measurements, so that they fit perfectly on the presses. And then by hand, the edges are made perfectly smooth and ready for the printing. The finished plates are placed on the presses by hand. Extra precaution must be taken so that each plate is placed in the proper position. Time is precious now, for within an hour the paper must be on the streets. And there it is, the final plate secured into position. And finally, the presses are in action. Within a half hour, 14,500 papers will roll off these presses. The workday is almost completed for most of the people on the Journal staff, but for the men of the circulation department, it's just about to start. At about 2:45, this is a busy place. The circulation manager ties a bundle of papers. Carrier's weekly bill is attached, and the papers are on their way. They'll go to homes, businesses, and farms throughout the Tompkins County area. The mails will carry them to many distant places. Part 2 of our story, right after this message. The Gannett philosophy of responsible journalism applies everywhere from the Ithaca Journal to the 2 Gannett papers in Rochester, New York. In this building are housed both the Rochester Times-Union and Democrat and Chronicle. The circulation is greater than the Journal, but the basic organization remains the same. Here the city editor directs operations. And not too far away, the feature editor and his assistant are busy pounding out today's columns, as the news editor checks with the City Police Bureau. Across the room, a reporter reviews the highlights of a tape-recorded interview. Daily, the Times local news editor presents a radio newscast. Here, he takes a telephone cue. These 15 wire service news machines provide a striking contrast to the one machine located at the Ithaca Journal. The machines represent the Associated Press, United Press International, the Canadian News Service, and the Gannett News Service. Across the room, we see news transmitting equipment. Here in the advertising department, the one salesman left behind talks to a client while his co-workers visit merchants. An artist races against the deadline to finish an ad. Everything seems to be A-OK. So on to the presses. These presses are idle right now, but in a matter of minutes, they'll be moving at a tremendous rate of speed. Here comes the 25th page of tonight's edition. And on the printer it goes, and the rollers move into operation. The presses are moving at about quarter speed right now. They operate at a reduced speed until the systems engineer makes sure that every phase is in perfect synchronization. If just one part of these giant machines is out of time, the presses could be seriously damaged. A final check of the completed paper reveals that everything is functioning properly, and the conveyor line moves along at a uniform rate of speed. And it's full speed ahead. When operating at full speed, these presses can turn out 150,000 copies an hour. They operate about 4 hours a day, printing both the Times and Democrat. Contrary to public opinion, all editions of the paper are printed in less than 2 hours. The papers leave the press room and travel along these conveyors to an area known as the mail room. The mail room is the heart of the circulation department of any newspaper. Just like the Ithaca Journal, the workday for these men is just reaching its peak when most of the other members of the staff are preparing to leave for home. Unlike the Journal, however, these neat stacks of 50 cannot be bound by hand. Because of the vast circulation, conveyors and binding machinery are a necessity. The papers travel along the conveyor system to be bound by wire on an automatic spot welder. Next, they'll drop down a chute into the dispatch room. And from there, distribution managers will deliver them to newsboys and newsstands all over town. This is a familiar scene. The boy is the last link in a chain of thousands of dedicated newspaper people.
In the daily newspaper business, talent, skill, intelligence, perception, split-second timing, and teamwork are required to produce our final product.